So, how many years, decades, uh, centuries has MAGA been claiming Democrats are socialist, communist, whatever ist they can think of, and despite the fact that I don't think they know the difference between one or the other? How long have we been told how MAGA stands for freedom? They stand for our freedom of choice, our freedom to do what we want to do, or our freedom to choose. How long have we heard that? I don't know. How long have they been lying about that now? Apparently. I just got one question. If MAGA and Republicans are so much in favor of our freedom here in Texas, why is it that Greg Abbott is forcing his stupid redistricting on Texans while Gavin Newsom, he is letting California people living in California to decide whether or not they want to redistrict California. Who's the one allowing freedom there? Okay, and Greg Abbott's sitting there claiming that this special session was all about the flood victims. They don't give a damn about the flood victims. How do I know that? Well, because he didn't have to add his redistricting plan to this. We could have had the flood taken care of a long time ago. What, 2 weeks ago now? Because if he hadn't added this redistricting agenda, the Democrats never would have taken flight. They would have made quorum and they could have given relief. But Greg Abbott, in his infinite selfishness, stuck this redistricting in and caused the Democrats to break quorum to run. He could have taken that out and flood victims could have gotten what they needed. That's one of the things that, but he didn't. Even after they said what they were going to do, they were going to leave and break quorum, that he still didn't remove the redistricting. So it really wasn't about flood victims. It was about Greg Abbott doing what Trump told him to. Um, you know, Trump told Greg Abbott to poop, and he said how much and what color. Abbott's trying to force his redistricting on the people of Texas. So that really doesn't sound like freedom to me. It sounds like the people in California have more freedom than we do because Californians get to choose, or we don't. So which party stands for freedom again? Um, you know, our Republicans are literally, Greg Abbott and MAGAs, Republicans are literally forcing this redistricting on the people of Texas, whether we want it or not. If you have such a strong standing in Texas, why not let us decide? Why don't you see how many supporters you actually have, Greg Abbott? Are you afraid to find out you really don't have the support you think? Texas is a majority state, and you keep hauling off brown people, and we have a lot of brown people in Texas because this used to be Mexico. So you're afraid maybe they may not like that. I don't like that, and I'm not even Hispanic. I think it's horrible. But yeah, you claim MAGA claims to be the party of freedom. They're doing what Trump told them. Okay, you're supposed to be working for us in Texas, people that live in Texas. This is who the governor and the Republicans in the Texas House, that you're supposed to be working for us, not forcing us to do Donald Bums, Donald Bumps or Trumps or Dumps. I think Donald Dumps sounds a little bit better there. Uh, Donald dumps in his diaper instead of forcing his will on us. Okay, you're supposed to be representing us, and I'd have to say MAGA's not doing that. Okay, you still have some MAGA supporters. I'll have to admit there's, but 50% of the population is dumber than average. Not much we can do about there. So, yeah, I'd like to know who is the Party of Freedom, because it certainly doesn't look like MAGA. You have people, police officers patrolling our cities. Gee, that doesn't sound like freedom to me. You have them jumping unmasked out of vans, shooting at people. We're now shooting at people in California. That doesn't sound like freedom to me. You are literally have a representative, I think her name is Collier, hold up in the Capitol of Texas today. That doesn't sound like freedom. You're literally imprisoning Democrats or having them followed by the police. You know, our police really need to be out doing things like fighting crime. I thought you were the party of law and order. I mean, how much hypocrisy? How much hypocrisy? I mean, everything you say is just a lie, obviously. And I used to be a Republican. Okay, but not anymore. I'm not sure I'll ever vote for another Republican again after this. Y'all have been so horrible. Horrible. You know, you have masked men, unidentified, jumping out of vans, grabbing people off the streets. You are holding up representatives, duly elected representatives. You are having them followed by police or hold up in the Capitol building to force your will on them, to force them to vote against their constituents' best interest. It looks to me like the Democrats are fighting for freedom, not MAGA. Not MAGA. I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go, but I kind of agree with what Tallarico told Kane the other night, is if your policies were so wonderful, why not just run on your policies? If MAGA really was making everything so great, why do you need to redistrict Texas? Why does Trump feel the need to cheat if your policies are so great? It shouldn't matter where the lines are. If your policies are so wonderful that America is just going to fawn all over you, there would be no need to cheat. There'd be no need to to have, Democrats followed by cops or hold up in the state capitol. There'd be no need to act like a bunch of thugs. And that's what you are. You're a bunch of damn thugs. You're a bunch of spineless thugs that have empty sacks where your testicles should be. It's just actually ridiculous. But like I said, I think that Tallarico was right. That yeah, if your policies aren't popular, so you're trying to force them down our throats. Let me tell you what's going on in the real world, the world of not fastest MAGA Trump puppets. Okay, I'm married to someone who went the MAGA way, and he's disillusioned, detached, and demoralized because he thought he was voting for the party of freedom, and it looks like he voted for communism because y'all are acting just like Putin and communists and rolling out the red carpet. And what is the deal of having our military kneel and roll out the red carpet for Putin, but not for Zelensky, who's fighting for democracy? There's a clue right there. If that's not a flashing neon sign, I have no idea what is. But those of us that were classical Republicans, like myself, are not disenchanted. We're pissed off as hell. And we are making up the independent party, the party that is growing larger and larger because so many of us, have trouble identifying with either party. So that we're a large Democratic force. We don't really like what you're doing. And we are energized. We're energized to push back. Meanwhile, your own MAGA is starting to see that y'all are nothing more than fascist. Communist. You're the communist. You claim to be. How long did you scare people about the Democrats were going to make you wear wearable devices so they can track you? I don't know why, if you have a cell phone and a credit card, but anyway. And now that's what RFK Jr. wants to do. Trump was supposed to call this Ukraine war Biden's war. I don't ever remember Biden going to war. This is Putin's war. Putin invaded Ukraine. So we are seeing more and more of your horrible, horrible policies. You're not working for Texas. MAGA Republicans are not working for Texas. And enough Texans get tired of you pushing them around. Maybe they'll wake up. A lot of us that were classical Republicans, never Trumpers, are awake. We're wide awake. And we're not voting for you. I'm not sure I'll ever vote Republican again. You left such a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know that I'll ever vote for Republicans again. Y'all have just been nothing but communist dipshits, forcing your 10 Commandments down our kids' throats, throwing you know, throwing people that are, in the Senate to the floor, running around like goons in masks. These people aren't even really cops. This isn't the country I wanted, and I won't be voting for any of y'all. I don't care how you draw your lines. I don't care how you draw your lines. But we're sick of cheating. Work for us, Texans. Quit work. You don't work for Trump. You work for us, MAGA Republicans. Thank you.